Hello and welcome to today's video. Today is another video for the fall color series. It's obviously yellow. Hopefully that was apparent. So in today's video, we're actually going to go through some palettes that I have that you can get yellow looks from. And I also have 4 eyeshadow looks to show you that I created with 4 of these palettes. Now, sadly, I do not have any yellow lipstick, but that's okay. We have a lot of eyeshadow to talk about. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Okay, to start us out, I have 3 palettes here that do not have looks associated with them, but I still wanted to mention them because you could definitely get yellowy looks from these. So the first one I have here that I wanted to mention is my NYX Ultimate Bright palette. This here has kind of 2 yellow options. One's a more like macaroni kind of yellow, one's a little bit more bright yellow. Now, these are not my favorite quality shadows, but if you already own this palette and you're in a pinch and you don't want to go out and buy another palette for yellows, you do have 2 here that work okay. You do have to, in my experience, you do kind of have to spend a little bit more time building these shades, but all in all, you could still get a very yellowy kind of fall appropriate look. And just to show you, I went ahead and swatched these 2 here. So yeah, I had to mention this one for this video. Okay, the next palette has another metallic in it that I think is very fall appropriate. So these kind of yellows here, especially the ones that aren't too bright yellow like this bottom one, but they're more kind of that like orangey yellow, kind of almost like a sunflower. That's what I see a lot in my mind when I think of like a fall yellow. So I wanted to swatch this one for you. This comes from the Sparkling Peach, or Pineapple, I always want to call it Sparkling Peach, Sparkling Pineapple palette from Too Faced. So that is it right there. Now, I don't know how well received this is on the internet, but it's very like flaky, but I kind of really like that. It's so pretty, and like it is actually probably out of this whole palette, it is definitely the most flaky, but there's something about it that I just really like. I think it makes it really dimensional in a way. You do have to be careful and try not to pick too much up when you put it on your eyelid, but it is really pretty. Not to mention that if you were to pair this with these nice, like these transition shades and the steepening shade lean quite warm. So I think you could get a nice fall kind of sunflower inspired look with this guy. And the third palette that I wanted to mention that also does not have a look associated with it, we're about to get into the looks in a second. This is the Natasha Denona Gold palette. I had to mention this because it is literally a beautiful gold palette, and it does have like this nice mustardy shade here, but I also wanted to swatch this shade here. This shade is called Oro, and I think in my brain that this is gonna look so much like that Sparkling Pineapple shade, so I kind of wanted to swatch them next to each other. They're slightly different. This one maybe has a little bit more yellow, where this one almost leans a little bit more orange maybe? I don't know quite. Or maybe I have those mixed up, but they're very similar, and I don't think that if you put them on the eyes that you would see that much of a difference. So I just wanted to swatch those 2 together because that's kind of in my mind of like wondering how similar those 2 are. Okay, now for the fun part, let's go ahead and get into the 4 eye looks for this video. We'll talk about the one on my eyes right now first. This first look here that I'm actually wearing comes from my Subculture palette. I'm gonna stop and zoom in just a little bit so you can see it a little bit closer. Okay, so here we are a little bit more up close and personal. I mostly put this New Wave shade on my lid, like all over, and then I took edge and kind of blended it out and fluffed it out. I honestly really like that, like how it leans like kind of orangey, almost like mac and cheese, like a Kraft mac and cheese. So that's what I was kind of going for. Plus I thought it might go with this like top a little bit better. And then for the like shimmer right there in the middle on my eye, obviously this palette does not have like shimmer yellow or anything like that. What I actually did was use a highlight on top, which I love doing. I kind of love the final look, having the highlight on my face match the highlight on my eyes. I actually used this palette here from the Aurora Glow Kit. This like, it looks green in the pan, but it comes off so like yellow on my skin tone at least. So that's what I'm wearing both as a highlight, and I like use my finger to apply it to my lid. Also, I wanted to say, if you don't have this glow kit, because it is a little bit more intimidating, not a lot of people may want to buy this kind of palette for, you know, if you don't do duochrome highlights, that's okay. This, I wanted to show you the other Anastasia glow kit that I have has a shade so similar. This is Marshmallow, and it looks way more wearable in the pan, right? Like it just looks like a yellowy gold kind of highlight, and it is very similar to the one from the other glow kit. So the Aurora Glow Kit, and then this is the Sugar Glow Kit right here. So I could have easily used that same shade on my eyelid and would have gotten the same effect, but I just wanted to reach for the Aurora one instead. So yeah, I had to mention that. So yeah, that is the first look, and this is like one of my go-to looks from this Subculture palette. I love it. I think it looks really nice. and it speaks fall to me. So I had to showcase this one for you. Let's go on to look number 2, and that's actually gonna come from this guy, my Weekend Festival palette. Now you may look at this palette initially and you definitely do see some warm tones going on here, and I wanted to do something a little bit more toned down, maybe not such a blown out yellow look for this look. So what I did is kind of go in, I believe I started with a bronzer in my like high transition area, and then I went in with Escape to kind of deepen out the outside corner, and I wanted it to just kind of pull nice and like warm tone, and then which Escape, it really is a really nice warm tone brown, really nice. And then on my lid, I actually used Euphoria here, which is this beautiful yellow gold. Probably gonna look very similar to some of the other guys here, but I love a good yellow. I love a good yellow. So yeah, I think that second look turned out to be a lot more subdued, but still really pretty, and you still pull very much like fall yellow tones from that look. All right, let's talk about the third look. The third look, we're coming from the Honey palette, which, how do you not include this for a fall palette? So what I ended up doing with this look is using Stinger up in like the very high part of my transition shade, really close, almost to my brow bone, but not quite. And then I deepened my crease up with Oh Behave over here. I love that name. It makes me think of Austin Powers. Anybody else? And then I have Buzzkill on the inner and outer corner, and then we have Queen Bee, which is this beautiful, again, bronzy gold shade. I'll swatch it just because I can't help myself. Beautiful like Queen Bee shade on the actual lid as like a halo pop. And if I'm honest, this and maybe the next look are probably my 2 favorite looks from this video, but I really love this palette, so I had to include this one for this video. And the fourth and final look is coming from my Nomad palette. This is a newer palette to me, but I'm so enjoying this so much. So for this palette, I ended up starting out with this shade here. I normally start this out as a very high transition shade. It's very similar to my skin tone, so it doesn't really do a ton of color depositing, but I think that it helps kind of like help me build some of the other shades quite a bit. So then what I did is take this shade here and put it more into my crease a little bit heavier, and then I took this orangey shade and put it towards the outer corner and like into like the outer part of my crease. I used just a touch of this dark brown, like the barely like faintest touch on my outer corner, but then I took more of this orange shade and kind of blended it out. What I really wanted for this look was it to kind of resemble a sunflower. I really wanted it to feel like I was just in a sunflower field, if I could will myself there. So then what I did is I took a concealer and kind of cut my crease a little bit, and I went on top with this. Normally I am not a like matte with like glitter in it kind of person, but this shade here I really enjoy. So what I ended up doing was kind of just pressing it onto my lid, and I thought that look was so beautiful. It really did come off exactly how I was hoping. It really gave me like strong sunflower vibes, so I had to mention this palette here too. So yeah, that is all 4 looks and all the palettes that I wanted to talk about in this video. I'm a little sad that I don't have any yellow lipstick, but then again, I don't think I could pull off yellow lipstick. So we're gonna end the video here. Make sure you say hello in the comments. Let me know if you have a yellow palette in your collection that you pull out for fall. I am dying to know because I love yellows. I feel like yellows and greens are things that I can't get enough of. So make sure you let me know in the comments, say hello, and I will see you in the next one.